Sailor Moon movies. All theatrically released in Japan, and yes, they were released in the United States, although it was more of a direct-to-video sort of deal, and much like the anime later on, they were also aired on Toonami. And much like the dub, it was censored. Bylines out, stuff lost in translation, lots of slang, same Deke voice actors, so yeah, everything's lost from the original, as usual. But the biggest question people often think of when they start getting into Sailor Moon, or when they hear, oh, there's a movie, I can get into it, right? This video will mostly discuss the timeline. So, right now, I just drew you guys out a timeline. Here we go. So, right here, guys, I thought it'd be handy to make you guys a little timeline. So, red will be stuff omitted, crossed out, you'll see soon. Blue will be the movie timeline things, and black will be used to draw the timeline. So here you go, drawing the timeline. Just gonna draw a straight line here, arrows, arrows. So label this one pre-Sailor Moon, when they discover they're the Senshi, I suppose, and post-anime series / 30th century Tokyo, which you will see soon enough. Okay, now close up. So let's see, where do we begin? So I'm gonna label the seasons. Classic, R, and do a little line here. Super, Super S or Supers, and stars. So there we go. Yeah, isn't that a nice timeline right there? So now let's do red. So I did that line mostly because, you know, they do a whole time traveling thing in the R season, so that's why it's there. Now there were no movies for classic or stars. So there's the R movie, the Super movie, and the Super S movie. Now, where do these three movies lie? So, the R movie's right around there. I'll start. Same goes with Super, although could be a little different since Super is a Christmas movie. And Super S is special because it does not acknowledge, pretty much, that the season exists, considering the Outers make an appearance in the movie, so maybe near the end. Although, you could argue it is possible that it could have been somewhere but after Super S, but a little before Stars, considering the first several episodes or so are technically a season finale of Super S, so it refuses to acknowledge Super S ever existed. They probably got hate mail from fans, which I'm not surprised. Super S was a wreck, as I said. So yeah, there we go. There's a timeline. I think the best comparison I can do this to is Cowboy Bebop had a movie. Anime what? So there's the anime and there's the movie, which you can't really pinpoint it down. Now, S was actually based off a manga short story that Naoko wrote. It's pretty true to it, so I think that's interesting. R and Super were the only anime things, much like everything else in the anime, but S was actually a manga thing, so it's technically canon. There was also a special with the Super S movie that was also in the short stories. I highly recommend reading the short stories of the manga. Just gives more background stories of the Senshi, mostly the inners though, so that's really cool. Yeah, that's about it. That's about how the timeline should look. So that's interesting. So as for me, those are my rankings for the films. So, with the films, they're all pretty good, to be honest. It's hard to pick which one was better, but I think I do like the Super movie the best, just due to the fact that they actually tried adapting something from the manga into a full-length movie, which isn't actually, their movies are only like an hour long, but still, that's a feature-length film, and it was nice seeing that adapted and all that fun stuff. R comes a very close second, and I couldn't decide which one to put it to, so it was R or Super, because they're all pretty good in my opinion. R is actually gives, I think I like R because it gives a little more backstory on Mamoru, how he made this alien friend, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna be friends forever, and his alien friend Fiore comes back, and he's like, oh god, you have a girlfriend, what am I gonna do now? So it's like, yeah, I bet fangirls are squealing right now. I am sure there's a lot of fan fiction regarding that topic. Anyways, and Super S is actually cute too. It's still Chibiusa focused, but honestly, you could just watch the Super S movie instead of the season, because yes, the Outers do come back and it is awesome. It's like, oh, this is your apology for the wreck that was the Super S season. Okay then. But yeah, that's really about it. The Super S movie's about candy and children. It's kind of like the Pied Piper, only cooler. They're on a boat. No, really. So yeah, this review was a little different, mostly because I don't really have much to say other than this is what happened. These are my favorites. And the only big question that beginners usually, or even like some fans are like, so does it really fit in the timeline? And maybe you can, but I think the great thing about the movies is even if you haven't seen the series, anime, or even read the manga, it's a good way to get into it. Just watch it and say what you think and consider, maybe I should give this a try. But it's fun. It's fun. I definitely recommend them. And whether you're a longtime fan or just want to get into the things. And speaking of that, I do recommend watching the original for sure in these, because if you go on Sailor Moon Uncensored.com, there were some stupid changes made, as usual. Fun fact, they say the woman who wrote those and wrote a lot of like the worst, considered, according to Sailor Moon Uncensored.com, and honestly, just looking back in general, usually the worst dubbed ones were written by a woman named Lisa Lumbee Richards. So it's like, oh crap, you're responsible for all that unnecessary slang, especially the seasons that were S and Super S. I wouldn't be surprised if she came up with the whole cousins shtick. But yeah, that's really about it for this episode. I have a lot of work to do for the next episode. And I hope you enjoy this. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to go down below.